It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Welcome back to We Are Starfleet, a Star Trek Discovery podcast. We were originally launched as a Discovery podcast, and we started talking about other Star Trek shows, which we are still doing. We are still talking Star Trek. Now, are we talking all of it? Maybe. We'll see. We're going to have to talk to our friends over on the Make It So Picard podcast about that in particular. Folks, we are part of the We Made This Network, which is a group of podcasts that cover all sorts of mediums of science fiction and pop culture between movies, TVs, books, music, and more. So please feel free to hit your subscribe. Check us out at wemadethisnetwork.com and follow us on the socials at Starfleet Pod. So my name is Mike Slamer, and on this podcast, we like to talk about the episodes of Star Trek that are currently airing. And our hosts on this episode, on this podcast, you're going to hear the rotational voices throughout the season. Our very own good man here, Ian Buckley. I know him. I've known him. And you will also know him too. Ian, welcome back for season 5. Craig McKenzie, all the way from Scotland, out in the UK. Welcome back to season 5. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Your reviews. Make sure you plug your own website, Craig. Sometimes you don't do that enough, so I'm gonna stay on top of you about it. And Ashley, of course, you are rocking and rolling. Ashley Thomas, you are over at fangirlish.com. I know because I see it in your username. I love it.
Helpful when you're on Zoom calls with Star Trek Discovery cast members so they know where to find you.
Yes, that is smart thinking. That is smart thinking. Personal branding in the Zoom names, everybody. That is your pro tip of the day. Welcome back, everybody. How was the break? We covered Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and then we were kind of on a little bit of a hiatus. How's everyone feeling?
Always good to be talking Star Trek. So yeah, happy to be back in the seat, able to do it.
Yeah. I'm never sad when I get to talk about Star Trek, but it felt like a pretty long hiatus. Like the last, well, you guys did an episode. You and Mike, you and Ian did an episode on YouTube.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Not too long ago, and then before that, Ian and I talked to John Billingsley, aka
We
Dr.
did. That was a great conversation. Yeah,
talking about Star Trek, and then the Trek Talks conference, telethon, which was amazing. So, but that was now like almost 3 months ago. Jeez.
Oof. Yeah. Time both flies and yet it does not.
We weren't on strike. What was our excuse?
Listen, I was on strike. All right, it was just a general strike
I'm
on
just
the couch.
lazy. That was my problem.
It has been, I guess, in real time, it's been, I think, 7 years, but we've only had 5 seasons of, 4, starting our 5th season of Star Trek Discovery. Ian, you and I kind of kicked this off a number of years ago in the middle of the pandemic. How are you feeling? A little like what's your thought process? Are you feeling a little melancholic about it coming to a close?
I mean, I think that it's always like, regardless of how one might feel about any particular Star Trek show, I mean, everyone has their own personal favorites. I think it's always bittersweet when one of them comes to an end. I mean, I remember feeling that way about Enterprise when I heard that it was canceled, and I didn't watch that show until like 15 years later, like I still mourned its passing. I still felt like, oh yeah, that's too bad. That's a shame. And so, I think as a diehard Trekkie, like there's a part of me that feels, as a fan of the show, especially, that it's always sad when it feels like a show is coming to an end before you thought it would. I know we speculated for a long time, like how long the show could last. I'm sure when the show was first pitched and envisioned, they did not plan it at only lasting 5 seasons. So, yeah, mixed feelings about it coming to a close, but it also frees up bandwidth for them to create more projects and more shows, which we know they're working on. So there's always a silver lining there.
Craig, what do you think?
I think I'm probably ready to say goodbye to the show. I think Discovery has been pretty inconsistent in terms of across its seasons. Every season almost, well, 4 and 5, I guess, or 3 and 4 were the same sort of thing. But every season up to 3 were all basically rebooting the show. Like it was always a different show every season. And I don't know, I haven't really gelled too much with the 32nd century thing. I don't think they've taken it far enough. So it's maybe the right time to say goodbye to this one and move on to something else.
Ashley?
Ooh. Discovery is probably my favorite new Trek. I really love the cast. I love all of these characters. So I am bummed to see it go, especially when I know that was not the original plan. Um, you know, we've got lots of different reasons for that, but I am excited for what is to come next. And, you know, having seen the amount of Discovery season 5 that I have, I'm very happy with what I've gotten so far. And so it makes me hopeful that, even though this was not the original plan, that we're going to end the series well and we're going to do these characters justice. So
I'll be sad to see it go. I think there's definitely room for it. I hope that this is a swan song, essentially. I hope that the extended filming time and the reshoots that they did has made this like a swan song for the cast and crew. So with that in mind, do you guys want to just jump into it? We had episodes 1 and 2 kind of premiere back to back, so we're going to discuss all of it from
Yeah.
top to bottom.
It's annoying for people covering the show when they do that, isn't it? It's maybe great for people just watching it, but if you're covering it, it's, well, come on, why are you doing this to us?
gotta
Right,
write 2
yeah.
reviews this week. Come on.
Or one really big one.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, do I chop it up in half or just give everybody everything all at once?
It's hard enough to get people to read one article. Getting them to read 2 articles, unheard of. No, it's not happening.
2 articles, Craig.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the episode title, The Red Directive. Kovich comes back and he says it about 6 times. Our Dadmiral, Oded Fair, says it another 6 times. So they keep saying the same thing over and over. Red Directive. Have you guys heard of it before?
No, it's a new thing.
I say, yeah, that's a 32nd century thing.
Yeah, they were hammering that one pretty hard. I did kind of want to say to the screen at some point, like, stop trying to make Red Directive happen. It's not going to happen.
Obviously, it conjures up memories of the Omega Directive.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Yep.
It's to suggest that, whoa, this is serious.
It's color coded.
Yeah.
It's color coded.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're
We,
doing
kn- we know
business.
Red Alert is serious. Red Directive must be very serious.
Yeah.
And there'll be a Black Directive out there.
It starts off the episode. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's just get our quick overviews out of the way here. Episode 1, Red Directive. It starts off with an action sequence, and then it cuts to 4 hours earlier. And man, I do not like that. That is a trope in a lot of storytelling that I'm just like, come on, just start the story where it starts.
In media res can be pretty effective when it's setting up a mystery that it then answers, but then this doesn't really work because it's, oh look, they're in the middle of an action sequence, and then you see, okay, we do some stuff and now we're in the middle of an action sequence again. So this isn't a good example of in media res.
Yeah,
I'm not bothered by such things. So Go ahead,
I
answer.
mean, it's okay, but like you said, Mike, it's one of those kind of cliche things we see a lot when it's done. I'd like to see something a little bit more, compelling. It's, Michael's in an action sequence, she's in trouble. Great, but I feel like for that to really grab an audience, especially at this point with how often that's used, you need to do I feel like the character needs to be in a truly unexpected situation. Something where an audience is like, yeah, how the hell did she end up in that circumstance? We've kind of seen her doing this sort of thing before, so it's sort of like, okay, well, I sure eventually we'll find out how she got to that point, but it didn't feel like there's enough of a hook in terms of my interest level.
And what's so interesting about that is that with Michael being at the gala, the Millennium celebration, that is something that she does not do at all. So I actually felt like that whole ceremony, the celebration, was a more interesting start to getting things off and running.
Yeah, there's a character who we've come to know who's outside of her comfort zone. Yeah, I liked what they were doing there.
Yeah, it's not like on the Enterprise D where they were receiving guests in 10 forward every other week and putting on nibbles.
Right, exactly. That's sort of like an interstellar hotel. There's like a conference center where we're hosting delegations all the time. We don't really see, especially in this 32nd century where everything is so scattered and people are just starting to come together. I'm sure this kind of mission isn't one that comes up frequently.
On a completely random note, they're drinking out of the same glassware that they drink out of on Aladna in the Marvels. So I'm sure everybody really wanted to know that. But what I found watching Star Trek is my new, like, some people play Spot the AR wall. My favorite game is Spot the Barware, because I've worked seasonal at Williams Sonoma. And so I'm like, oh, I know where those glasses. I can buy those glasses, that sort of thing. So anyway, sorry, completely random. The barware is from another planet, and it's called Aladna, and it's in the Marvels. You're welcome.
Did anyone else feel sorry for the bartender? Because everyone was like, what the hell? What's the deal with this drink? What is this? And she's
Yeah.
like, well, it's obviously the stars and the Federation flag and
She's
whatever.
like, look at the flag, guys.
Your message didn't quite land and they just casually insulted you. It was a great start. It's a great day for diplomatic relations.
Be nice
Well,
to your bartenders, folks. Seriously.
always tip them kindly.
Always tip your servers.
That's it. That's it.
Because they can spit in your drink.
What I kind of liked about the opening is every TV show that comes back has to like kind of remind you of the status quo, right? So they kind of get right into the mix, and they go right into a lot of the heavier, like, Paul Stamets feeling, oh, what's my legacy? We destroy the other spore drive engine. Like, what's going to happen to me? Like my work, my life. He's looking for purpose. So you have that dynamic, and then of course you have this lovely dance scene with Saru and President Tarina.
President.
Still, thank you,
Mhm.
thank you. And they're in the same mix, where Saru is again another season of Star Trek Discovery, another season of Saru thinking he's going to leave the ship. So
But
hats
this
off to
time
you
he
guys.
can because it's the
5 for
final
5.
season.
He actually can. So it's kind of a chessboard kind of a scene, and then we jump right into the action, which is, here is your mission, Michael. This party sucks. Let's get you out of here. Let's get you back on the Discovery and zipping around the universe. Ashley, I thought that the whole Infinity Room thing, that's a really cool new technology reveal that Star Trek kind of gave us. Little
Yeah.
Doctor Who-y, if you will.
Honestly, it made me think of the finale of Deep Space Nine, just a big white room. So I was like, are the prophets going to show up? But that was just me. Yeah, I was trying to figure out the mechanics of the Infinity Room. Is this just like, yeah? Is it like to use a Harry Potter reference? Is this is like a port key, and you just
Ah.
you touch it and you go somewhere else? Like, how does that work? I
Why
I
not
was
just
a little
find a quiet
befuddled.
corner like anybody else would, or find a unused conference room or something?
Yeah.
Burnham's Ready Room. I don't know. Anywhere.
It does seem a little elaborate, yeah.
Mhm.
Like, do we need to go to a pocket dimension to have this conversation? Oh, right. Sorry, red directive. Forgot.
Red directive.
I
Red
used to be able to have
directive.
private conversations without these things. So
The room should have been red. God damn it!
On
That would have been a
brand.
bold choice. We've seen these stark white rooms a million times. We've never seen anyone do one of these scenes in like a red room.
Yeah, I mean, Kovic has got this flair for the dramatic. He's wearing, like 22nd century suits, walking around. He's got a little pocket dimension. It's I love his addition to Star Trek. I love his addition to Discovery. I think it's a really fun juxtaposition to how serious everything is all the time. And I think Discovery could use with a little lightheartedness, which brings me to Tilly. I love seeing Tilly back.
Tilly's my girl. Tipsy Tilly made me laugh really hard. I watched
Yes.
I watched this with Mr. Nerdy Blogger, and he looked at me, he's like, "That's you when you're tipsy." And I was like, "Oh, yep, that you're right." Not wrong, not wrong. Plus, like, she's hanging out with cute, skinny, bearded guy. Yeah, that's definitely my type. Um, so but coffee hot a lot, large now. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
my
heard
coffee.
that.
That's my coffee order. So
I'm glad she's back. She's always been like this pop of vibrancy and joy on the Discovery crew. So with her stepping away and tying into the Starfleet Academy show coming, that's exciting stuff. I think that'll be really enjoyable to see.
assuming she is going to be in Starfleet Academy, because they haven't
Yeah.
actually said as of yet, but you would assume so.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're leaning pretty hard on, not to jump ahead to episode two's
No.
conversation, but it seems so far like they're leaning pretty hard into like, boy, I sure love teaching. Really love my new job at Starfleet Academy. Boy, howdy, do I love teaching. I'm glad you let me come on this one last mission.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Felt
call. Perfect
a lot of
timing.
that, yeah, a lot of that energy. So I feel like they are setting her up to be a member of that crew.
Are we setting up for the big goodbye after a big season of a heist?
I mean, I see her as like potentially being sort of like, she's the obviously O'Brien wasn't as big a part of Next Gen as she has been of Discovery, but like you have a continuity character that is like the baton that gets passed off to this new show.
She might be in a recurring capacity, or maybe in a
Yeah,
full-time
even if
capacity
she's
in
not a
this.
star, I would very much expect her to show up.
What did you guys think about the whole Romulan ship that we discover? 800 years old, convenient, of course. Just, timeline shenanigans all happening. But perfect timing from a previous Star Trek series that was on air about 30 years ago. Romulans are back. Do we think they're going to make a big play?
Well, the Romulans don't exist anymore, at least in the form that we knew them. They're the Navarre now, aren't they? The Empire dissolved somehow, and they now only live on one planet, and they all behave like Vulcans now, apparently. So
I was just gonna say there is some distinction, because if you'll recall, we had the episode where you have like the Vulcan, the tribunal basically, and you had representatives who were more like the.
Unification Part 3. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So you've got the representatives that are more like Orthodox Vulcan, if you will, the more Orthodox Romulans, and then the folks that are in between. So you have all of those factions on Navarre.
And also, Mole
Yeah.
says in the episode that, it belongs to the Romulans, so the Federation has no claim.
You know what? I hadn't thought about that.
yeah, well, maybe there's some.
That was my catch. That's why I brought it up.
I guess it's Navarre are Federation members, but Romulans aren't. It's a technicality.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where I think like they seem to clearly be, again, jumping into episode 2 a little bit. They seem to be announcing a lot of Starfleet is being culturally conscientious about like not disturbing or desecrating like old relics, ruins, and also like respecting the claims of like cultures that may still exist on artifacts that are very old, like all of the things they're discovering on this quest, including this ship.
Yeah, that's a good call out. That I think there's definitely a different kind of Starfleet being introduced, a different kind of Federation, maybe I should say, being introduced. To Ian's point, where it is very respectful, Saru is being offered this a diplomacy position with the Federation that would bring him to a smaller coalition of worlds to hopefully bring them into the Federation. And there was the mention of the Tholian Republic and the Breen Empire, if I'm not mistaken. So, as opposed to Romulans and Klingon empires, we have some different names to throw out.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if, as we're revisiting some 24th century storylines here, we encounter some of the, especially since this is the last season we're getting of Discovery, if we encounter some of these other species that keep getting name dropped, and like the Tholians, I think would be interesting to see them represented in the 32nd century. Like, what are they up to?
I always wonder
Or the
what the
Breen.
Tholians are up to. We never seem to find out.
No, we never do. I'd love to know what they're up to now.
You only had to wait a millennium.
Yeah.
There's a pretty I don't know, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong here. It really feels like a paint by numbers, board the ship, walk through, figure out that it's a trap, and then we lose anyway. The whole heist sequence, it started the episode off, so maybe I went into it a little too critically, a little too like, oh, I didn't like it when it started. Here it is again. But I still didn't care for it. What was your take on this whole?
I actually liked the overall sequence, and for one major reason is the fact that they do lose, like you said. It's the they get away, because we're so used to Burnham always nailing everything first time, which gets a bit tiresome, because it's can anyone challenge her? Is there any way of defeating her in any way? Is she invincible or whatever? But I like the fact that these people are just better than she is at what they're doing. They're very well practiced. They know all the tricks to get out of there. They know where to hide, and she has no idea. I like that. And because I was half expecting it. Well, I used to do the courier stuff with books, so I know exactly where they're going and all that stuff. So I was glad that no, they're in front of you. That was refreshing. That's new, because she's normally 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we had already seen part of this sequence. They released it on, Star Trek Day. Was it last year?
Yeah, pretty much the
Or
whole thing, I think, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
more or less all of it.
you get like most of the sequence from her, like, for want of better terminology, space surfing on top
Yeah.
of this ship, and to her like landing back in the captain's chair on Discovery. And I was like, one, that was really fun to watch. But two, like, because I'd already seen it before, it kind of took some of the edge off. But I, like what Craig said, I enjoyed that. Oh, hey, this is a challenge for Michael. She didn't quite nail it on this first go around, which I mean, I'm sorry, Kirk nailed a lot of things on the first go around. I don't really feel like that's a complaint you can make about Michael. But it was fun to see the context for all of that, because it was.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
She ended up there in the first place because she got blasted out of the ship, and Reese and Owo are still stuck there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was oh snap, they got the jump on us, and now we're trying to recover.
And I think it gives Michael an opportunity over the course. I imagine they're setting up an opportunity for her over the course of the season to bring Book back into the fold, because he's someone who, working together, she can potentially overcome these adversaries who posed a bit of an overwhelming challenge at first. And ditto this other captain whose name is now escaping me.
Rainer.
Right, thank you, Rainer. Working together with him again, like this, you know, sort of new triumvirate that they're going to form between these three characters to figure out the solution to the problems that they're facing. I think that's especially if I mean, Saru's going to be doing something in this show, presumably, but at least where we end things after the first two episodes, they've waved goodbye. He's off doing his own thing. So I think, they need a new dynamic on board in terms of the senior officers debating, discussing, figuring out the solutions to these problems.
When I got to do some roundtable interviews with the cast and showrunners of Discovery a couple weeks ago, something that Mary Wiseman said, she was in a call with Wilson Cruz, who's Dr. Colbert, and Blue Barrio, who is Adira, and they all said that one of the things that they really enjoyed about working with Callum Keith Rennie, who plays Rainer, is that he's just an old battle axe. Like everybody else on Discovery is a pretty cheery, pretty positive, and then here he comes, and he's like a massive surliness. But battle axe was specifically the word she used to describe him, which I thought was delightful.
Appropriately, he feels like he came from the Battlestar Galactica reboot universe. Like,
Absolutely.
he's got that like grizzled vibe of like, Jesus, did you just spend the last 20 years in that show's universe?
Well, the thing with Raynor for me is he's what I wanted from Lorca, actually. I hated the Mirror Universe revelation about Lorca. I like the fact that he is a captain that works in very specific circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
He is the guy that you get to command a ship when you're at war because he's built that way. That's what Raynor feels like to me. As in, I've been out on the fringes doing stuff that's just not protocol for 30 years, and that's why I'm in on this mission. And yeah, it seems so far that that's what we're getting out of him. He's someone that's a bit unconventional, a bit gung-ho about the way he does things, and he's going to be a good, challenging presence, I think.
I would like to ask you guys. I watched about an hour and 45 minutes of these two episodes, and not once did I see and or hear from another crew member from Captain Rainier's ship. Does he have a crew? I have questions.
He mentions a crew, yeah, but he only ever refers to his ship, doesn't he? He's like, Antares,
That's exactly
do this.
right.
Mhm.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
It is a
you don't
little.
hear any
It is a
aye aye
little odd.
captain. Yeah.
Maybe he's commanding one of those like AI ships that
Could
we've
be.
apparently got in the 32nd century. No, really, like he might, or like it might be a holographic. I mean, not that they're not people, but like he maybe have some sort of like alternatively crewed ship that he's captaining at this point. We don't really know, but it does seem odd that there's no sense of like any other captain that we've encountered, like if they were being forcibly separated from their crew, like
Mm-hmm.
it would be a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it feels like they were and maybe we'll encounter some of them in future episodes. But yeah, you're right. I didn't really think about that at first, but yeah, we don't hear, like they're just very much impersonal, like abstract out there somewhere.
Right. And if he was, if he was a starship captain for 30 years, on the fringes using burn technology. I would imagine that he went through thick and thin with a crew. So, it begs the question. So that's something I'm thinking about. That's something I'm gonna be looking at throughout this season to see if they're trying to throw any curveballs at us, something exciting, something new. Who knows? Could be a bad guy in disguise again. Who knows?
Let's not do that again.
No, thank you.
It might just be that they didn't want to pay voice actors or extras to be his crew.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are production realities, but I think Mike's right. There are in-universe questions that it does raise.
Because we've never seen the inside of a 32nd century Starfleet ship.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Any of these radical new designs, we haven't really seen them. They mention a new class of engine that they're going to be, pursuing as standard now. And
pathway drive.
Yeah, like
what does that do?
Pathway. Thank you. And yeah, I'd love to see some realization, some visualization of 32nd century tech at some point in the season would be nice. I'm sure we'll get some of that in the Starfleet Academy show.
You'd imagine so, yeah. But yeah, what makes this pathway drive more attractive than we can get to the other side of the universe instantly?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only time we've been in any other ship that I can remember was in season 4, like at the beginning of the season, where Tilly, Adira, and some of the folks beam over to try to help this ship that's about to blow.
Yeah.
That's the only time I remember seeing it. In there, it almost looks kind of generic, so I didn't feel like it was.
We've only
any
seen
different.
like Book's ship. We haven't seen any of these modern Federation designs.
Yeah,
what the bridge
and
look like on these new ships. Yeah,
it's probably just like one big vast empty space, and they just have the computer, do some programmable matter magic depending on the interface that's necessary.
The consoles just appear as needed.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
They're probably very boring. At the end of episode 2, when Rainier is looking out the viewport, and he's like, they don't build them like they used to.
Oh yeah, that's a good note. He is looking at the ship, the older tech, and thinking that he may have a very unsatisfying ship to captain in some way.
I really like the point that Craig Ashley made with being on the back foot a little bit and having to chase after people who are actually just better at being bank robbers, essentially. So these couriers are off. They're doing their own thing, and they're gonna go visit a guy on a planet, Kumal, something like that. It didn't ring any bells anyway.
No.
No,
So brand new
these
planet.
Are all new names are thrown at us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those generic seedy underbelly sorts of places that they always go to. It looks like all of them.
Yeah, on a desert planet,
Yeah.
Wretched
it's like a
hive of
classed up
scum.
Tatooine. Let's be honest. It's a slightly classier Tatooine.
Yeah, and they had a lot more. They had nicer dress, I thought. Certainly. Okay, so come on. Was that Brent Spiner's nephew that we met?
I did go and check. It's like, who is this guy? Is he a Spiner? To my knowledge, he is not. But very reasonable facsimile.
Did a great job. He did a great job.
Yeah, it was a good representation of a Soong android. It is one of those things this show does sometimes do where they're like, oh, that's cool, and it's gone.
Why is Alton Soong?
Oh
getting all
wow,
the
they
credit?
found another Soong type android. Isn't that amazing? And they killed him. Okay, great.
Why does Alton Soong get the credit?
Was Alton Soong? Was he the same Soong that was in Picard season 2?
Yeah, that's that. Season 1 is Alton Soong turns up towards the end of season 1, but
he's the one who makes the Picard body.
Yeah, he didn't invent the Soong androids though. That was Noonien Soong.
Okay, so the synth that we meet in this episode was created by Alton Soong, or are we saying that it wasn't?
Yeah, I think he's one of the latter day Soong types that comes after season 1 of Picard.
Latter-day Saints.
I say Church of the Latter-day Saints.
Yes.
Yeah, Church of the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, on
That gotta be
on
good.
the planet of androids that Borg also live on. Remember?
That's right. That's right.
We have
Anyway,
silicon communion wafers in our church.
I love the throwback, and I loved it. It had me, I was like, is this a lore variant? Is this a good synth? Oh, okay. So he's running he's running a pawn shop, that deals in very rare oddities, if you will. And he locks in on the diary. He seems to know exactly what it is the moment it pops out of that Romulan puzzle box. Thoughts on the whole scene?
It seemed a bit perfunctory to me. It was just to get you the information about what's in the diary and stuff. It just, it didn't jump out at me one way or another. I don't think there was anything more to it than the moving the plot forward.
He should have offered them a better price. It'd still be alive.
Yeah, it did seem like kind of poor business sense. Like you're this like underworld black market artifact dealer. You must deal with people like this all the time. Like, how did your positronic brain not figure out what would happen here? I
Is this your
don't
first day?
quite. Yeah, right. It did feel a little bit like, dude, is this your first day on the job? Like, what are you doing here? He felt a little too naive for an android as old and entrenched in the underworld as he was. It felt like kind of a rookie move.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's my thought. Craig, I hear you. I think you very well could be correct that it's just, a fun scene with an android that is slightly familiar to us and will get us from point A to point B. But if he comes from the same era as Altan Sung from season 1 of Star Trek Picard, stay with me here. They brought his body up to Discovery, and they have his memory engrams up there, and Paul is going through it. He's trying to figure it out. So
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
is there a potential for some facsimile of this android, Fred, to come back to life in some way, shape, or form, doing air quotes for those who can't see me? And all of a sudden, Michael Burnham gets to have a conversation with an android who was around to hang out with Jean-Luc Picard when he became an android.
Could be. Or
Connections.
it could just be, I've got all the information and here it is. It could go either way.
Yeah, I could definitely
Right.
see Fred being a plot device later, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, could go either way.
At the end of the sequence, when they have the answers, I guess, off we go to chase after Locke and Maul. Who and sidebar, I did really enjoy Fred's play on the whole like consonants and vowels and
Oh my
pronunciations.
gosh. I geeked out super hard with that because as a lit major in undergrad, I had to take history of the English language. It's like, oh, I know what these words kind of mean because it was like 15 years ago, but I remember some of these phonetic words and like the way he was just breaking everything down. It's like, oh, that's so delightfully dorky, and I love it.
They're taken after Locke and Mole on their little speed runners. We get that big motorcycle chase, which I thought was a lot of fun, ripped right out of Star Wars. I have no problem with that. It was pretty enjoyable.
It's interesting because I obviously thought it's like, oh, that looks like the speeder that Darth Maul rides in episode 1. But this was actually brought up to Michelle Paradise and Alex Kurtzman in these interviews that I
Oh,
did.
was it?
Yes, and they were like, "Oh, we weren't thinking Star Wars. We were thinking Indiana Jones, like with motorcycles and the desert and all of this, and we're on a quest." And I'm like, "That's interesting, but those are very clearly Star Wars." But that's just me. If they want to say no, we were thinking Indiana Jones and accidentally made Star Wars, well, George Lucas was involved in that too, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, if Star Wars and Indiana Jones are kind of like cousins
Mhm.
in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I really liked the dynamic that we kind of saw between Captain Rainier and Michael Burnham. It started to show more personality, and it started to show like who these people actually are in this new reality. Burnham is very much, kind of getting over the fact or getting into the fact that Booker is now back, which, by the way, we do have to talk about because now Booker is back on the ship and he's been a part of all of this. And you've got Captain Rainier, who is very much like, like whatever you're doing over there, you got to do. We have a mission to accomplish. So the ebb and flow of these personality types as they connect has been really good on screen, I think, especially considering Booker's personal feelings about, the courier life, and he misses his girlfriend. He wants to be hanging out with Michael, and he feels some kind of way about their current situation. Thoughts on all this?
As somebody who, I guess what I have to say is very short and simple. As someone who dated her husband long distance for 2.5 years, sorry, you live in the 32nd century. You have no excuse for not being able to talk to this man. Book, you have no excuse for not being able to talk to this woman. Y'all need to, own it and not act like this is a problem. You guys can talk. Now I'm done.
That does seem to be part of the problem, though, that they could have talked and didn't,
Right.
which is a
Right.
conversation they still need to have.
Yeah, like that conflict seems real, and I don't quite understand exactly why they haven't. I mean, I get that things like ended uncomfortably last season, but it was surprising to learn that they hadn't spoken. And yeah, it does seem like one of those situations that could be resolved by characters just having a couple more conversations with each other than they have. And I do hope that they resolve it. I mean, it seems like they're heading towards that, where they're going to figure their way out through this rough patch, but it was a little surprising, I guess, to me to see to learn that.
Yeah, it's also unclear to me, Ian, what exactly it is that has caused them to not want to speak to each other. Because it just seemed like, okay, it was uncomfortable at the end of last season. Like you said, it was awkward. Book has to go do a different job, and you're still a starship captain, but you can talk to each other. Like,
I mean, I mean, like he was like punished. Like this was his punishment for what he did in season 4. Like it seemed like when they parted, they sort of understood. Like it seemed clear that they weren't sure when they would see each other again. But like there didn't seem to be, from what I recall, a suggestion that there was some reason they wouldn't speak in the interim. I don't know.
yeah,
They
yeah,
probably
fair.
really needed to beef up the whole betrayal angle, because the idea that Book went off on his own and stole the spore drive and destroyed the DMA and stuff like that, you could extrapolate that Burnham might feel it's more of a personal betrayal, as in he went and did that behind her back. But that wasn't ever in the narrative. It wasn't ever in
Yeah.
the text. So that would be, if they brought that up now, I would criticize it for, well, you didn't establish that in any way. So, but
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
but I wonder if they're going to go down that route.
My only other thought is during the space surfing sequence, Rayner makes mention that we're still dealing with burn tech out here, and I know they were sending Book off to all these different places that were affected by the DMA. Like, is he still dealing with burn tech, and therefore conversation is limited? Maybe.
Mm.
If that's the case, I will allow it. Not that they need my permission, but I will allow it. I will find that a more acceptable reason than, oh, we just didn't talk.
But the
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
doesn't make it that it doesn't make a point of, well, we couldn't speak. It's more that we didn't speak. So
Right.
it doesn't seem like there was any kind of barrier to them continuing to have continuing to talk, continuing to, have a relationship in some way.
All fair points. All fair points. And I do want to talk about my favorite part of episode 1, which was the starships protecting the settlement. I thought that was really cool TV.
See, I thought that sequence was ludicrous. The plowing the ships into the ground and using their shields to block an avalanche.
How cool was it, though?
Nah, I didn't find it cool. It just lifted me straight out of it. I was okay with Burnham surfing on the back of a ship trying to disable its warp drive, because that's consistent with the rules of warp drive that we know. As long as, the ship generates a warp bubble, as long as you're in that bubble, you're fine.
Well,
For
they
example,
did that
in
on Lower
Enterprise.
Decks too. Yeah.
Yeah. In Enterprise, when Trip had to move between Columbia and Enterprise by, riding a tether as they combined their warp fields, that's all fine. But just this, plowing the ships, saucer first into a planet and using the shields to block an avalanche, I was like, nah, I'm not having that. I'm just not having that.
I thought it was interesting in that you don't see ships actually hit planets that often. They're usually
because they
in
probably
space. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that if these big ships came down through the atmosphere, there would be an enormous fireball preceding them. But yeah, I didn't have a particular problem with that scene or sequence. And anything that to me might have struck me as, well, that's not the way ships in Star Trek work, is well, it's the 32nd century. Maybe they've got some tech solution to some of these. It didn't really bump me.
Well, I thought it was pretty dope. So
yeah, I mean, it was a good. I thought it was a good solution to the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just an action sequence, right? It's still meant to get you excited about watching the show and look at what these ships can do, as opposed to, I love TOS. Obviously, I'm sitting on the original Enterprise bridge. But, they always talked about how, we're up in orbit and we could blow the whole planet up just like that. And it never happens. So, some display of the technological prowess is entertaining to me.
Didn't like it. Lifted me out.
No. I'm gonna clip that in the edit. I'm gonna clip you just going, didn't like it. I'm gonna send that to you.
I was okay with the speeder bike chase. That was fine. But that part, no. Stop it.
How did you guys feel about Lack and Mole as our antagonists in general?
I like them. Yeah, Eve Harlow has been in some stuff that I've seen before. She was in Heroes Reborn, which is a terrible show, but she was quite good in it. And she has a role in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. And she's good in that. So she's good. And I haven't looked up the guy who plays Lack. I've probably seen him in stuff because it is very much a Canadian actors seeing it. That's why Callum Keith Rennie's doing this, because he's based in Canada.
Right.
You see a lot of these, well, I call them CW actors because they tend to turn up on a lot of CW shows because they're based in Canada and they're already there, so they can, show up to set and so on. But yeah, I think they're good as antagonists. I like how competent they are. It's good. It's a refreshing change.
Locke is played by Elias. I don't know how to say his last name properly, so I'm going to give it my best shot. Tufexis. He is in The Expanse, which I have not seen, but Mr. Nerdy Blogger loves. So
love The Expanse.
Proper hard science fiction.
Yeah. No, I like them. I think they're interesting. Maul kind of reminds me of the blonde gal that shows up in Ahsoka, but I think it's just because they have the same haircut. But otherwise, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think the fact that they're pretty self-assured, but they have the skills to back it up, is going to be pretty interesting.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I like what Book says about them. And he makes like an accurate guess. Like, they look like they're having a good time. Like they're young, they're in love, they're, uh, and all of this is like a meta commentary for how he and Michael were when they in their
Right.
courier days together. So, uh, I think that is going to be an interesting dynamic. They're basically serving as a foil for Michael and Book, is what
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
Yep.
Do you think? I think it's pretty inevitable that there's going to be like a big moment where the four of them come face to face in real time.
hmm
Yeah, that'll happen. I don't think we really need the family connection, though. I always hate when these things come in. There's other ways that you can find ways to build relationships between characters, and you don't have to make the universe seem like it's, that small. I don't think.
Well, they've been kind of teasing Cleveland Booker's name,
Right.
and the origination of it, and they've never really talked about it. So, I guess, to your point, the universe seeing small, is the Courier's verse small? I wonder what that's like, because Mole makes a comment about never leaving people behind.
Part of the problem is there isn't enough kind of background stuff, because what was her name? Syra's organization. It seemed like
The
they were.
Emerald Chain.
Yeah, that was it. It seemed like
Right.
it was just her and her ship for a while, and then it's, oh wow, they're actually a major power in the galaxy, and they've never been mentioned since, really. So I think there's a lack of sort of background development of these things to get a sense of how large, say, the courier organization is, how widespread it is, and because it seemed like Book knew them by reputation at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then, oh look, turns out that's basically my sister. Okay.
hmm
As far as episode 1 of the season goes, I thought pretty good. But for me, it rolls right into episode 2, which we're also discussing. And I feel like it does make sense that Paramount would say, "Hey, we're gonna have you guys watch 1 and 2," because where it ends on 1 just feels real like a flat note. Just
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think I've got in my notes that episode 1 didn't seem to have a lot of substance to it. It was all very flashy action, and we're moving from one thing to the next, and everything's really fast. And then episode 2 slows down a bit and gives you a bit of
Mhm.
extra padding, I suppose. But yeah, I feel like if it had only been episode 1 that I'd seen and I had to wait a week for episode 2, I might not be as engaged by, what,
Mm.
oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Because, like you say, it ends on such a flat note. It's like, okay, I guess I'll watch next week. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. There's no waiting. It's just you go right into episode 2. I was interested, given that they're releasing it this way, that it does feel like, or it felt like to me, that there were a couple of shifts that caught me a little bit off guard from episode 1 to episode 2. For example, Tilly appearing. I know that they give it a bit of dialogue, but in episode 1, she seems like pretty firmly entrenched in her life in Starfleet Academy, and like Michael's checking in with her over the phone or whatever, and then she's just like, oh, she's just on the all right, she's on Discovery again, and it's dispatched with the line of dialogue, fine, whatever. But it was a bit of an abrupt transition, I thought, like for that specific character. They had like a couple of decisions like that where episode 2 it felt like they were resetting the Rayner character a little bit. In episode 1 he's quite harsh in his disagreement with Michael, and it felt like they kind of softened his edges a bit, a little bit abruptly in episode 2, which again, like I get it. You have to set him up as you get him on Discovery, and then you're on to the rest of the season. This is all set up for what comes next. But like Stamets had this very you know his emotional existential crisis that he's having in episode 1. Like I don't think it gets any airtime in episode 2. Like
No.
he's there, but his problems don't seem to be anymore.
Maybe he's internally processing. Ian, I actually disagree with your takes on both of those characters. Uh, Part of the reason I really love Tilly is because I identify a lot with Tilly, similar personalities. Uh, and I have a best friend. If she called me up and said, "I need you to go on a mission with me," and I would do it. Like the drop of a hat, I would do it.
I would like to see that phone call, is what I'm saying. I don't have an
Yeah.
issue
Yeah.
with her being on Discovery or with her being at the Academy. What I was missing was that transition, was that, hey, Avengers Assemble, because it seemed like they were just picking immediately up after where we stopped off on episode 1. And I thought I would have liked to have seen that outreach from Michael to Tilly. I love their relationship. I would have welcomed the opportunity to see that phone call you're talking about.
But they do have that phone call.
Kind of, sort of.
At the end of episode 1 where she asks for help, but in terms of like Tilly taking some time off from the Academy and teaching to like be on the Discovery, like give me a scene where Tilly asks for that time off and explains like how important this is for her. I'm just saying I could have used more, because I like Tilly too. I'm not, like
Mhm.
none of this is coming from a place
Yeah.
of criticism. It's coming from a place of narratively. I was a little surprised by the abruptness of the transition. That's all.
I see.
The
I see.
help that she was doing was the hacking, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she's on the ship in episode 2, and there's, like you say, there's no,
Like-
okay, I need your help with something else. You need to come aboard, that sort of thing.
Well,
I was
I
also
think
reminded of Enterprise in the first episode where Archer goes to Hoshi and she's like, absolutely not. I'm not coming with you. I've got exams
Next thing you
coming
know,
up
she's
for
on the
my
ship.
students. And then
Yeah.
she hears a few lines of Klingon and she's like, I'm in. Something like that.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
well, my
Screw my
thought
students. They can fail. Like they can reset next year.
my thought was when Tilly is doing the hacking and and security comes to her and she's like, "Oh no, whatever I've just found is a really big deal." And the information that she finds, like, hey, this is top level stuff. Like, I think like understanding the seriousness of that situation for me did the emotional homework of what I'm doing at the Academy. I can push pause. Michael really needs my help with this. Also, you can't let your girl go alone.
The tone shift from episode 1 to episode 2, I definitely clocked that too. And episode 2 opens up with a committee meeting to discuss what the heck happened over on Kumal that caused 2 starships to go nose first into the Earth, and then cause this big dust storm, all this stuff, and we have a problem and we need to solve it. Very reminiscent of several Star Trek episodes. I think they always do well in those very tight, darkly lit spaces with a committee looking at the captains who did something wrong. And I thought Michael was playing a very different tune in that meeting, where she was almost sticking up for Rainier. And even Admiral Vance clocks and says, hey, you don't need to do the unwritten rule. But in my opinion, like, I'd have been like, no, this was all Rainier's idea. I didn't think it was a good idea at all. I just, that tone shift seemed to strike me as off-putting. Like Rainier was, Burnham was almost like trying to buddy up with Rainier for some reason.
Also, what's the Federation president doing at a hearing of a captain?
Yeah. That's a good question. Although to your point, Mike, like I disagree a little bit. I think this is like thin blue line bullshit. Like I think this is just like cops who get caught doing something obviously awful, obviously stupid, and then when it comes down to them actually getting punished internally, every other cop is standing shoulder to shoulder to make sure it doesn't happen.
Okay,
you weren't there. You don't know what it's like.
Burnham doing it though, like any other Starfleet captain, I could see that happening. But Burnham playing the thin blue line.
You know, I think maybe it's Star Trek's subtle way of saying all cops are bad.
The thing is, I think if Burnham wanted to be more subtle about sticking up for him, it could have been, well, we have no way of knowing if they didn't plan to do the avalanche anyway. They're pretty smart, so they could have figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird scene. I mean, I was immediately distracted by the fact that the president's there. Since when is the Federation president involved in these sorts of proceedings?
Well, I could see that from the standpoint of like the cultural rebuilding.
Yeah, but is there one admiral in Starfleet? Is it just Vance? Is he the only one?
Yes.
He's the hottest
I was certainly okay with it. Yeah, I feel like Vance running that makes sense. The president,
but
you know, I feel like there could have been a government representative, but I feel like they were like, well, we've got this actor on the payroll. We're just going to have her do it. We're not going to hire someone to be Federation functionary number one in this one scene.
Yeah, because any other instances of similar proceedings that we've seen, there's always there's another admiral there. There's a whatever. Think back to Una's trial in Strange New Worlds. You had characters that were created just for that scene. You know, because
there should be like
their jobs.
Yeah, it should be like Vance and like a Starfleet / Federation lawyer, and that's it.
Well, I was not particularly bothered by the scene. One, because I think Sheila Horstall is amazing. Two, this is me trying to rationalize, okay, what is the choice here? And maybe it's, Rillick is all like, well, Michael's involved and Michael's going to buck anybody except me.
100%. You're right.
So, yeah, because I think if that had been anyone else, Michael would have been tight-lipped.
Okay. Nah, you just pegged it because now I'm thinking about all their interactions last season. Yeah.
Right.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I do, it does kind of force Rainier out and it puts him, puts him into position to be brought onto Discovery. So that all tracked perfectly well. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought the pacing was quite nice. We learn a lot about the device, the MacGuffin that we're after, the map. The map, we have to scour the stars for pieces of a map that's going to reveal this ancient hidden technology. This sounds all too familiar.
Well, it's every show, isn't it, these days? Ahsoka's all about we need to find a map. There's other things that we need to find a map. We're on our way to the story. We're not telling you the story yet. We're still trying to find the story.
Just you guys wait. By episode 5, you guys are going to be really on the edge of your seats. Yeah. How long is the season? Never you mind.
Episode 8. Hell yeah, that's when it all comes together.
Episode 8. Oh, man.
Yeah. We're going to spend half a season talking about Species 10C, and then we're going to give you them in the final couple of episodes, and we're going to wrap that up pretty damn quickly.
You don't know. It could have been that they would never have shown us 10C. That was an option on the table.
It was an option, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. And the whole Raynor thing as well, I was just thinking there's probably better ways that they could have got him into the number 1 position, such as your ship is in dire need of repairs because we crashed it into a planet.
I mean, that's all. That's very true. That's very true. I feel like that would have been an easy way to also solve it. But the clues, I think, chasing the map, trying to find all the pieces of the map, you got to follow these clues that take you to specific places. They got the journal. We have this dead Romulan scientist.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear what the structure of the season is going to be, at least early on. It's the same as the the DMA last season, as in it provides us an excuse to go somewhere and do something, and then we'll have an adventure there, and then we'll maybe get a clue that takes us into the next place that we're going to go. So that seems to be what we're going to be doing for the first part of the season. It'll be maybe there'll be a piece of this map on this planet, and then we'll go to this planet and we'll have an adventure, and we'll either find a piece of the map or not, and then we'll move on.
We're gonna make friends and some enemies along the way.
Possibly, yeah. And so it's kind of a episodic format masquerading as serialized in a lot of ways.
Yeah, how do you guys think the season is going to play out? Do you think it will be as straightforward as a piece of the map every week until it's together, and then we'll go on? Is it just going to be piece of the puzzle every single week until the second to last episode? Like, what are we thinking?
I think there'll be give and take. I think there'll be some people have some pieces of the map. We have some pieces of the map. We're going to have to figure out how to work together in some way in order to solve this mystery. So,
well, and they're already like behind Maul and Locke.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's more like, hey, we've got to play catch up. I feel.
It's more that they have different pieces.
Yeah,
rather than being behind necessarily.
I really hope that it's not quite like that, because I felt like that was kind of how, like with the Mandalorian, for example, it was basically like Mando does side quests the entire season, and while it was kind of fun to watch, it wasn't super duper exciting all the time. So, like with this episode, though, I'm like, oh, Saru and Michael go to Legends of the Hidden Temple, and they have to, assemble the Shrine of the Silver Monkey, and do all of this stuff. And then also this is the first time we're hearing the name Action Saru.
Yeah,
I really want to hear Tig Notaro say Action Saru.
Yeah,
you should have to show up to do that. And
that's true. There's
no sign of her ever. She's there somewhere, but she's always just off screen. She's just over there.
Well, I mean, there's reasons for that. Tig being a breast cancer survivor, and COVID is scary for people who have had cancer.
I don't think anyone's begrudging Tig Notaro personally for not being able to be in this show more. I think it's just, it sometimes does, I think, limit the ability for us to really like engage with the show sometimes when they keep referring to like things that happened off screen. Like Book and Michael are reminded of an adventure that they had together. When we didn't see it. It happened sometime in the past. They do that a lot. They do the like, oh yeah, of course, like you didn't know about this nickname that like this character gave you, this character that we've seen on screen before, but we've never heard say this, and that no, we actually don't have her on screen now to say it either, but never mind, it's definitely a thing that they said.
It's like in Strange New Worlds where it's Una's such a hard ass and she's really tough on the crew, but we see no evidence of it because she's hardly in the show.
Yeah.
Well, or like, oh, let's do blah blah blah, and they rattle off some mission. They do that in Strange New Worlds all the time. It's like, oh yeah, that time, and I'm like, can we see these?
Yeah,
can we
both
get
both of these shows are so guilty of that. Yeah,
I know.
It's
I just
like they're
complained about
26
side
episode
quests,
seasons, but we're only seeing 10 episodes of them.
Right.
I feel like there's so many TV shows doing this kind of thing now. Like it was even in the Avengers when they're like, oh, remember back in Budapest? Yeah, it was just like Budapest. I still don't know what happened in Budapest, guys.
Yeah, it is one of those tropes that I do not love.
Yeah.
No matter what show or movie it appears in.
If done well, it can be, okay, we don't need to know this. We just need to know that they work well together because they've done it for a long time. But yeah, when they're giving you specific references that might be interesting to have some context for, then it's an issue.
Yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, like think about like that scene in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are like going up an elevator and they're just like talking about this adventure that they supposedly had in the past. And it's like, not only do I not believe either of you went on this adventure, but it's deeply annoying that this is how you're presenting to the audience that you guys are like buddies. It's awful.
It also sounds way more interesting than anything we're going to see in this film.
Right. Also, you'll be wishing for the days of that elevator story by the end of this.
Yeah.
Okay, but we did get Action Saru though. We did get to see
Action
it.
Saru. Yeah.
Sure.
Like Ashley said, all this like Legend of the Hidden Temple, like Indiana Jones shit is a lot of fun. Like I'm here for Star
Yeah.
Trek Does Indie.
It reminded me of the Arsenal of Freedom as well, the season 1 TNG
Yes,
episode.
good call with the drones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch it after we're done.
Don't. It's a season 1 TNG episode.
I have completionist tendencies.
No need to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's
it won't
a
bother
fine
me.
episode.
It's a Star Trek.
It's not one of the worst
bad.
season 1 eps.
So other than like, some rather annoying tropes that seem to be pretty prevalent in modern TV these days, what else did we think was like kind of a little flatline for you? Anything fallen off the radar for you, Ashley?
No, I do want to rewind just a sec though,
Oh, of
because
course.
one thing we did not mention about episode 1 is Saru and Tarina getting engaged. Holy freaking
Oh, you're
cow.
right. You're right.
Oh, you're right.
Ship
yeah,
them so
Good call.
hard. But that
Yeah.
means that Saru is leaving the Discovery, and I'm like,
Oh, is he?
"Aw,
Is he? Is he?
No, I mean, not yet.
Well,
but
maybe Tarina's gonna join the Discovery.
maybe that. I mean,
Doesn't seem
she's
like
the
our
president of a whole planet. I mean,
With the amount of time she spends hanging around Saru, I guess,
well, just a sweet guy to hang out with. I would, blow off work to go hang out with Saru too.
Me too.
You don't run a planet.
How do you know, Craig?
The whole planet?
I'd be
I
making
think
a lot more money if I ran a planet.
Yeah. I'm also like Ashley looking forward to our wedding episode. I think it is encouraging, at least for fans of Doug Jones and Saru, to see that because of all this 32nd century tech we have, like you can just sort of hop over to the ship, whenever it's in range of the transporter, or like just pop over your communication hologram to like have a full-blown conversation with the characters as if you were actually there whenever you want. So I think we'll be seeing Saru, quote unquote, on the Discovery again before the season ends.
Well, and so when I get to interview Doug Jones a couple weeks ago, he one of the things he said in the interview was that he was so excited about this love story between Saru and Tarina, because especially when you're always playing some sort of alien or critter or monster, you don't get to have the love story that often. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I can think of twice in Doug Jones' career where he's gotten to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this
He's
being
gotten
time number
quite
2.
lucky.
And one of them won
So-
an Oscar.
Yeah, he won an
Yeah.
Oscar for the first time. So I expect that man to be lining his pockets with Emmys by the time we're done. So
Completely agree. I just looked around. I see everyone's like, now what?
sorry, I shipped them so hard. I had to bring it back to that.
No,
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
I'm glad you did, because that was a relationship, like that relationship developing was a highlight of season 4 for me. I'm
Mhm.
glad to see it continue to unfold.
The weird manufactured drama was a bit odd, though. It was the don't make a decision on my account, even though we're in a relationship. but-
Actually, it's such a hallmark of a respectful and mature relationship. To see it on screen is so much better than a lot of the catty, like interrelated dramatic things that might happen, like Book and Burn. I'm not talking for some reason is null and void. I have no care for that. But I see Saru and Tarina, and don't make a decision on my account. Like, I support you as you are, as what you're doing, and that's something that my partner and I do all the time. She recently had a big job interview, and it was a crossroads, and we sat down and we talked about it. And it's like, don't make the decision because it's what I am telling you. Do it for yourself. I am here to support you no matter what. That is so key, and we need to have more of those examples on screen.
I think it was more how it was presented that I found a bit strange. It was just there was a clumsiness to the way the conversation was had, and then the resolution being Saru saying, "Well, of course I'm going to consider you in my conversation because of our relationship, and it's in my decision." Even it just seemed like it didn't have to play out that way.
Well, I think she's also like, I mean, she seems to be of the more orthodox Vulcan persuasion. Although something I thought that was really interesting is that she says "I love you"
Mhm.
a lot, and I'm like, oh, we don't hear Vulcans say things like that very often. And yes, I know she's the president of Navarre, but she appears to be more Vulcan than Romulan, if that makes sense. At least what we've in comparison with what we've seen before, and certainly in her mannerisms and things like that. Although
Mm.
she's maybe somewhere in the middle. So
I think she,
go ahead.
yeah, she represents a middle path, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So but I think she was trying to she's maybe leaning into the more logical side because she's afraid of what might happen if she's like, but I don't want you to. But my knee jerk reaction is like, how can he not consider this?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So
That's fair.
I mean, I get the it's her being all like, I don't want to stand in the way of something really good for you.
Yeah.
I get that part, but also I'm like, I've been married for math is hard, almost 13 years. Like I can't imagine not considering,
Yeah.
making a big decision without taking my spouse into consideration for that.
It also feels like this development for Saru's about a year too late, because it seemed at the end of season 3 when he went back to, oh God, what's the name of his planet? Whatever his planet is.
Kaminar.
That's the one. And then at the start of season 4, I thought, okay, we're going to get Ambassador Saru. That's going to be his role. He'll show up and he'll be doing stuff, behind the scenes or whatever. But he'll still be a factor in the show. It's just he won't be on the ship, or rarely on the ship. And then start season 4, I'm going to leave this guy that we found in a nebula seems pretty well adjusted now. Let's not worry about that. I'm back on the Discovery. So and we haven't had mention of that guy actually. The guy that they found in the nebula. I forget his name as well. Yeah, there we go.
For some reason, I think his name is Bill.
Maybe the actor.
Yeah, I think it's the actor's name is Bill. But every time I think about that character, I'm like, oh, Bill.
But it feels like we're a year late on Saru going into that more diplomatic role.
I would agree with that for sure. Saru has always had that kind of diplomatic air about him, just the way that he carries himself, and all of his circumstances and experiences really speak highly to him, being, very empathic.
Yeah.
Well, faced with a planet destroying entity, I think he might have gotten a little distracted.
Yeah,
So-
fair. Ian, is there anything else that you really liked?
Like we were just talking about, the relationship with Saru, I think him finding, I think you and I both, he's been a long time favorite character of ours on this show. So it's good that I don't know whether they shot all these scenes before the cancellation. I'm presuming that they did, but it does feel like they're giving him as a character a proper send off, a lot of runway for this particular send off, like from the beginning. So I'm glad that, at least as far as his story, it won't feel like a rush to wrap up a conclusion. It feels like his story is going to come to a more comfortable, gradual, natural conclusion, and I'm happy for that. As far as the rest, I think pacing wise, it's okay. I think there was a back of my head thought as I finished watching these 2 episodes of like, man, like this was almost 2 hours of Star Trek. I feel like in my head, after watching the first 2 hours of a season, I would have wanted maybe just a little bit more rapid progress in terms of the story. But that also may be a feeling that fades as the season unfolds. But I think it's off to a pretty good start. Like I said, I'm here for the Indiana Jones type adventures, and the chase as a kid, was one that I always thought was a compelling sci-fi mystery. So I'm eager to see it reinvestigated, that central mystery of like the origins of these species. Like this is big, like canonical stuff that we so far have only had a mention of in like one episode of Trek. And we talk sometimes as fans about like, why don't they revisit these really interesting concepts that were only brought up in one episode? Why don't we see the Dyson sphere again? Why don't we talk about the Iconians more? Why doesn't like this progenitor species get re-examined? And now they're doing it.
Something I found really interesting, we all know Gene Roddenberry was a secular humanist. He felt like humans would eventually outgrow religion. And yet this is this is what we're watching, a quest for God. I just
Yes.
thought that was really fascinating.
Kovich says it. He
Yes.
straight up says it in the episode.
Yeah, like, thousands of years ago, you might have called them gods, and I'm like,
Right,
oh,
right.
so we're
It's one that's like based in like reality and like evidence and science as opposed to like superstition, but like it is very much a like existential quest about our origins as like living organisms. Like, why do all these Trek species kind of look similar? It's because of this progenitor. Like they did this. Like they made all of us. Like that's powerful stuff to explore. So I think that's what I'm most excited about.
well, the other thing that if we want to, and I mean, this is verbatim Michelle Paradise saying we were thinking a lot about Indiana Jones while we're doing this with like this quest and things like that. I mean, this is very much like a whole Grail diary
Yeah.
sort of like Last
Yeah.
Crusade sort of deal. So a buddy of mine contends, we're recording this Easter weekend. A buddy of mine contends that the original three Indiana Jones movies are Easter movies in her canon, and I'm like, you know what, that kind of that works. That works for me. I'll give you that one. So
Yeah.
like Last Crusade's
I'll
getting
allow
queued
it.
up tomorrow. So anyway,
Craig, so, as we're talking about everything, I realize that we're only talking about all of Discovery's main characters, and we still get virtually nothing from Detmer, Owo, Lieutenant Reese. We had maybe 30 seconds total screen time.
Yeah, and all they say is "I, Mr. Saru." That's all they say. They don't have anything else to say. And I think Discovery, with every problem I have with the show, is still there. The idea of you have this bridge crew, you know nothing about them. I don't like that this mystery is founded on the chase, because it is just, we're using an old episode of Star Trek to fuel our season mystery rather than come up with one of our own that we can develop.
They did one of their own last season.
They did, yeah, but even then, that was still, oh look, we're going to leave the galaxy like Kirk's Enterprise did, and stuff like that. So I think there's, and this isn't just a Discovery criticism; it's a general Star Trek criticism. There's too much backwards referencing, and a show like Lower Decks is built around that. That's fine, and we're not meant to take it too seriously. And I think Prodigy does better by front loading its more original elements, so that the familiar elements are more background. But I feel like Discovery and Strange New Worlds particularly are just trying to constantly put in my face these things that have happened before, these things that we're familiar with. So the thing is, they could have just come up with any mystery, and it could even have been the Finding God one, which it's not an uncommon story for Star Trek either. We had Apollo show up with his giant hand. And
we had a whole movie.
Yeah, we had a whole movie where that was the barrier at the center of the galaxy rather than the edge of the galaxy, but similar ideas. So when it was the chase, I was like, oh god. And the funniest thing is there will be recorded footage or audio of me predicting this months ago. When I heard that it was going to be some ancient mystery they were hunting down, I was like, I bet you it's connected to the chase. I know that I've definitely said that in the past, because it just seems to be the wavelength that they're operating on. And although I did laugh when it was the Romulan scientist, he's that guy, not the guy at the front. He's the guy at the back. We got the guy at the back. We couldn't get the guy at the front. I don't even know if it's the same guy, because I haven't rewatched the chase to find out. Yeah,
I rewatched the chase last night, and I don't know that. I mean, honestly, at least in TNG, they all kind of make Romulans look pretty much the same.
And he probably doesn't have any lines. He's just there to to look mean in the back row.
Yeah.
But so to your point about the bridge crew, the characters that receive little to no development, and the fact that Jet Reno gets brought up without ever appearing, that kind of stuff. I just feel like all the same problems persist. And well, obviously it's the final season, so it's pretty clear they have no intention of addressing them in any way.
Any other thoughts on, positive, negative, anything that we missed that you wanted to bring up?
I don't know. I did like Rayner. I like that he's good at cutting through to the core of a problem. I like that scene where Tilly and Adira were like, we don't know what's generating this power source. And he's like, think about it. Just think about it. What have you detected already? It's probably that.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was a good opportunity for us to get a different side of Rayner, and for for us to get a sense of like how he could be a good foil, not just for Michael but also for other members of the cast as he moves forward as a member of the command crew.
Yeah. I think he's going to be interesting. I kind of find his surliness a little bit off-putting. Mainly it's because that's like mostly the opposite of my personality. So I'm just like, go, have a drink and chill out, buddy. But I think he's going to be a really interesting foil for Michael, especially if you get like him and then you get Rillick in the room with Michael at the same time. That's going to be fun. I do hope we get a little more of that than what we have gotten, other than this little, Rayner's like in the hot seat because he made this call.
Like I said, he's Lorca perhaps done the way that I would have liked to have.
Yeah. I work in a corporate environment, and it feels like a lot of corporate environments try to pull personality away from people. And I think when you have individuals who are all of a particular type, like a type of personality, Tilly and Adira are very similar. Ashley, I'm sure you can relate. Having that completely outside perspective suddenly come into the space and say, what you're doing is fine. You're smart. You're doing it. Just try this instead. And that opens up a new kind of environment that can be maybe not confrontational, but it's challenging in a way that forces you to think differently about it. And those are the kinds of things where, the brand new idea is suddenly sparked. So yeah, would love to see more of that. And Rainier also reminded me of Captain Shaw in season 3 of Picard.
A little bit, yeah.
I definitely had that thought, and I was like, people are gonna love him because he's such a stick in the mud, and which is the exact reason I did not like Shaw that much. Like,
there you go.
I was like, sorry, even till the end, he was a dick.
Which is hilarious because I love Captain Shaw from the get-go. I was like, I like this guy.
He was right. You're not taking my ship on some random unsanctioned mission just because you happen to be a Starfleet legend. Piss off.
Which I don't feel is unfair. But I just like the way he treated Seven the whole time. That's what irked me. I'm like, no, you're a dick, and sorry.
He could also end up being a bit of a Jellicle presence in the way as well, as in he's going to make the Discovery crew work in ways that they're not used to, but they're equally valid ways because he has that level of authority. I don't know, but I did note down a couple of quotes that he said, a couple of lines of dialogue he said. It was when Burnham was talking about the commendations that he had, and he said, "It's not what you do in the chair." He talks about them being trinkets or something. He says, "It's what you do in the chair every day, every mission. That's what happens. That's what matters, even." And then he says, "I know what I stand for. I know what I believe in. I'm not going to apologize for that." When he was talking about the hearing, as in, you could have just told them what they wanted to hear and you'd be back on your ship. And he's like, "I'm not doing that. That's not the way I work."
No, but, and I can definitely respect that for sure.
And then Burnham making him first officer, because it gets brought up early in the episode. It's actually quite, overt in the way that, "Oh, Saru, you gave me that second chance." So it is to set up the fact that she's going to pay that second chance forward by giving it to Rayner as well.
Good catch.
Yeah, so I haven't watched ahead. I could have, but I haven't, because I don't want to color my perception of an episode by knowing what happens next.
Smart
so I
man.
don't know what they do with Rayner in the subsequent episodes that we have access to.
Right.
But I look forward to finding out.
Yeah, love the premiere episode. Excited about season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Really looking forward to seeing how they wrap things up with all of our beloved characters here. Folks, we are Starfleet is on pretty much all the social medias. I don't have an account on TikTok because I don't know why. So
Because
I'm
you'd
just
have
not
to
going
run
to
it.
use it. I'd have to do something with it. I'm already bad at social media.
Yeah.
But please search at Starfleet Pod, and you'll find us wherever you want to find us, I guess. Craig McKenzie over at Kneel Before Blog. Craig, thank you. Can't wait to see you on the next couple of episodes here. Again, you have a website, kneelbeforeblog.co.uk, where you
Yep.
post your weekly reviews, correct?
Yes, I'll be reviewing this show at the time of recording. I haven't done that yet because I got absolutely consumed by playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which meant that I got zero work done.
Hey, I don't blame you. I'm right there with you.
Until I completed it. But I've completed it now, and now I have to play catch up with myself, so that's fun. So yes, I'll be reviewing this. There's an Hatch podcast as well where we talk about various things. We did a Madam Web teardown, for example. We did a primer for the 97 X-Men 97 animated show, and there'll be other episodes, monthly news podcast coming up soon. You can catch us there on Kneel Before Blog on Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky. There's also a Discord that you could join if you wanted, all that good stuff. And I can be found personally under Nemesis4909 on Twitter and Blue Sky, which is originally a Resident Evil reference rather than a Star Trek reference, which it also is as well.
Ashley Thomas, the nerdy blogger herself.
Yeah. So you can hit me up on most of the socials at the Nerdy Blogger. You can read my words on my blog, nerdyblogging.wordpress.com. You can also read my words on fangirlish.com, where I write about film and television, mostly Star Trek. By the time this goes up, all of my interviews with the cast of Star Trek Discovery should be live there, so you can go watch those, get some insight other than what I've already mentioned here. And then, of course, I'll be having weekly episode reviews there as well. You can also hear me, aside from here on We Are Starfleet, on two other podcasts. The first is Podcast 616, which is podcast-616 here on the We Made This Podcast Network, where you can get all of the Marvel and MCU news and discussion that you can handle. You can also hear me on the Video Store podcast, which is a podcast with some rotating hosts where we give you 4 film recommendations, kind of like what you would get at a video store per episode. So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's
when did you start doing that?
About 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, so that's new. My first episode was about Lori Petty, it's an actress that I love very much. Does a lot of genre work. Has been in Star Trek. She was in one episode of Star Trek Voyager. As a character named Nos, I think. She kind of played mostly off of Tim Russ in that one episode. It was really fun.
Gravity is the name of the episode, I think.
I don't remember. But yeah, she was in that. Mostly known for being Tank Girl and in A League of Our Own as well. So anyway, I love her very much. And she saw my podcast. So at least she liked my tweet about it on Twitter. So I'm like, Lori knows I exist.
That's great.
Anyway, gonna have some other recommendations slide in that one. But anyway, that was called the Video Store podcast. And other than if you want to hear my words being read, you can hear me on hear my words being read on the Sci-Fi 5 podcast, which is 5 minutes of science fiction history, 5 days a week. The full archive of that is available at podcasts.roddenberry.com.
Superb.
All right, now I'm done.
Ian Buckley, we have been hosting this podcast for the past 4.5 years or so. Thank you. I can't wait to carry out the season and beyond with you. Where else are you podcasting? Because I know you're all over the network these days.
Yeah, Illumination Above All is my other podcast that I co-host that is covering the Apple TV Plus show Severance, which is
absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just about to wrap up production of season 2 finally, so we'll probably have some more news and hopefully some trailers and promotional material to discuss soon. So, yeah, we will definitely be having some episodes come out before season 2 premieres sometime next year. So keep an ear out for those. And I pop up as a frequent guest on Movieversaries, a movie discussion podcast with Bo Nicholson. So if you like hearing me talk about Star Trek, I also love to talk about movies, and you can listen to me do so there.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of We Are Starfleet. Again, my name is Mike Slamer. You can follow the show at Starfleet Pod. We will have a rotating chair of guests and hosts. You've heard from all 4 of us. You'll hear from all 4 of us throughout the season. And we'll come back and discuss the ultimate finale and how things proceed from there. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Ashley, Craig, Ian, let's fly.
Welcome to the third age of podcasting.
The year is 2024.
The name of the podcast is A Dream Given Form.
Join A Dream Given Form in 2024 as we continue our Babylon 5 journey, picking up our exploration of Season 2 and beyond. Check out fortnightly episodes looking back at Season 2 from spring 2024. And be sure to check out our previous Season 1 episodes and wider thematic discussions.
I don't understand what the huge problem is that people have with infection, to be honest. I know it's not great, but it's got a monster in it, and it's quite exciting, and it has David McCallum.
It does.
But, you know, I did have to come up with an answer to the question, and with a heavy heart, I would say that the episode I would skip is Grail, probably because...
You can't cut out David Warner. You can't do that.
Well, no, that...
You can't cut him out.
And he just
well,
did.
no. Guys.
Including interviews with Pat Torman.
When the animation came around, where I personally speaking for myself, I thought, oh, it's perfect, because we could do so much that we couldn't do with the budget, and the limitations of live action. But with this, and it doesn't matter how old we are.
Marshall Teague.
He said, "You make the sword, I'll create the role." And I walked in with the sword. He looked at it and he said, "Oh yeah, oh yes."
And Peter Jurusik.
I had great trust that at one point I realized, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows who Jakar is. And, you become the expert. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to interpret the people and interpret the literature. And as I said, make them walk and talk and be real.
So join us on A Dream Given Form.
Alas,
best hope
for peace.